Happy Sunday night. Happy day that ends with a Y day is what I like to call it, because ever since quarantine started, I don't know what day it is. I lose track of time. I lose track of the days. My kids have to be like, Mom, it's Thursday. And it's hard to remember a time when we had so much going on that I knew what day it was because of what was coming after school. Oh, today's cooking class, today's art class, today's music class, and I didn't even have that many kids doing that many things, just one older daughter that was determined to try everything, and I let her. So without that dictating the schedule, I barely know what's on my schedule. So I don't know about you, but that's kind of where I'm at right now. So the topic I really want to touch on for a minute or two before I dive into the Q&A, of which we have very little tonight, so this will be short and sweet. I want to talk about February. It feels like I hit a wall. And not just me, not just because of slow burn. Slow burn's terrific. It's also hard. But a whole lot of people seem to be feeling this way too. So much so that I even canceled Pajama Asana, which is part of the slow burn program, on Friday night, which is a yin yoga class. Right? This is like a help you go to sleep type yoga, where people are like, I'm too tired. I can't stay up for it. I'm like, it's at 7 o'clock Mountain Time, 9 o'clock Eastern. Okay. You go to sleep. That's fine. So I say this without reservation or judgment. That's okay. It's okay. I've been trying to work on reviving the weekly email. It was easy to do, and there was so much going on and so much for people to worry about before quarantine. It seems like a million years ago. And initially, I thought the problem was me. I discussed this with my husband, with my business partners, with my therapist. Like, I feel like is it me? Do I need to up my medication? Is there something wrong? I don't know why I don't feel why I'm not bursting, because I'm always bursting. Why am I not bursting? And what the conclusion that we came to is sort of might have something to do, or might resonate with you if any of you is feeling the same way right now. I think it might be the same reason people were really tired for the last 2 weeks. It's just a collective exhale, a big long burnout. And as weird as it is not to have anything on the calendar, and if you read the most recent Runner's World, they announced yesterday that races are probably not going to be coming back in the fall. In any shape or form. So that's the first signaling of everything I've been telling you guys, that these big races, in order to keep their sponsors, they have to wait until they are forced to close and forced to cancel before insurance will pay out. And then when insurance pays out, because if they go ahead and cancel preemptively thinking we're not going to be able to do it, they've effectively shut down their business, which they don't want to do, and we don't want them to do either. But if there's certain uncertainty as to whether or not the fall race season is going to happen, I'll tell you this, it's not going to happen. So in lieu of that, this is an opportunity. And this is one place where I've always been tried to be really consistent with you guys about looking for the bright side. There is one. The win here is that you're not behind. In years past, when you might have overachieved by signing up for a big race or a race series or whatever to get through the winter and the spring, only to be thwarted at every turn. And I've done it before, where I wake up and I'm like, $35, I would rather throw it away than try to hit the Platte today, the Platte River Trail, on a day like today when it is -2 with a wind chill of -26, which is for Denver ridiculously low. That we don't get those type temperatures here. We get them in the mountains, but not here in the city. So I would rather stay in bed, because you're taking a risk. You're taking a big risk when you buy that the weather is going to be in your favor and that the race is going to be worth doing. And we don't think of it as an option. What we think of what we're doing is putting discipline on ourselves and on our lives. So the question then comes down to, well, what do we do without races? I've said it before and I'll say it again, but I haven't said it quite like this, but I've got a nice little Instagram graphic that's going to be coming your way. That's a runner without a race is sort of like a fish without a bicycle. It's great if you have one. It's nice if you want to use it. I have no problem with that, but you don't need it. You never did. None of us ever did. Just so happens that's the only way we could get people to sign up for anything. And there were no year-round training programs like what we do and what we offer. So the one thing I hope for you right now, my February wish on this Valentine's Day, to all of you who are so very, very loved by me, is that you embrace this. You embrace the fact that this is going to be the year without pressure. This whole year is going to be a rebuilding year. If you've hit the wall and it's February already, that's okay. Rest. Get on the sag wagon and stay there for the rest of the year. You don't need to have achievements coming in any part of your life. All you need to do is get through it. And I promise you, if you can find a way to embrace it without totally losing your mind, and by embracing it, just removing as much of the pressure as you possibly can from yourself, you might find that you've never been behind. You just never had an excuse or a collective justification to get out from underneath all the pressure that's been heaped on top of you at every turn, at every corner of your life. You are by no means behind, and you never have been. And you never needed a race to be here or to justify being connected to this thing called running or to be in my presence, if that's something that you enjoy. And I really hope it is, because I love you. Yay. Been in the negative temps all week, ready for spring. Gosh, yeah, but it's not just you, man. We're all feeling the burnout. And it's been kind of a beautiful thing having all this snow and all this cold in Denver this week, because when it's snowing, to me, that's a mandate. That's a mandate to stay in bed. Though I went for a jog yesterday. I hadn't run since Monday. It had been really windy and I just didn't want to. I also had a really heavy period and I didn't want to move. And that's unusual for me. But so I embraced it. Instead of saying like, what's wrong with me? This never happens. I was like, stay in bed. It's not like I have to train for a race. It's not like I have to run a race. And I keep thinking about that have to, because races for me were a chore. They had gone from this fun thing I did to test my fitness back when I knew that when I thought I was fit, trying to hit goals that didn't really make me feel that good, but it was what everybody else did. And now they became the bane of my existence, where others looked to me to use a race to prove that my form of training works, even though there's no time fast enough that I could possibly run. Because it's not about the time and it's not about the race. It's about the process. It's about the fact that I don't hate training. It's about the fact that like the race is cherry on top, but I don't need the cherry. It's like the fish without the bicycle. Running is what I do. Races don't prove anything. They're just an experience that I get to have. But that's not how most people look at the running world. So if you're looking at your life and you're feeling burnout right now, I'd have to ask how many of us are looking at our lives kind of in the same way, looking to prove things or to perform things that don't need to be performed, to prove things that can never be proven to people who are never going to let you win in the first place. I know that there were a whole lot of mine in my life. And even though the newsletter has been on hold and the podcast has been on hold, I know that when it comes back, it will be because we're all ready to it, because I have something to say. I have a message that's going to land, and it's not going to be a forced, contrived trying to sell you something. It's not going to be anything other than what I want to be saying. And hopefully those things that I want to be saying are the things that you want to be hearing, because I've been kind of burned out too. But if you are lacking inspiration, if you are not feeling a spark, if you're not feeling motivated, again, the problem is not you. It's cold. It's dark. February always sucks. You know what sucks more than February? March. Why? Wind. Yeah, the snow might be done in most places, but you got that turns into wind and rain and sleet. And by the way, wind, wind. I hate wind. I don't run in wind. And I might not be running very much this year because of wind. And that's okay too. So no matter where you are or what you're feeling right now, I really hope the burnout lifts. But between now and then, I hope that instead of feeling bad about being burnout, that you're able to say, okay, and embrace it. I'm burnout. I'm going to take a little extra iron. I'm going to take a longer bath tonight. I'm going to put some Epsom salts in my bath, and I'm going to make myself stay there for 20 minutes. And it's something a little bit warmer than I'm comfortable with to make sure that my body absorbs all that magnesium. I'm going to make sure I get extra sleep tonight. And I'm going to do that by making sure that these 3 things that prevent me from sleeping, I'm going to get them out of the way just this once, or negotiate with my partner, whatever it is I have to do to make sure I get that good night's sleep. I hope you're able to do that until the burnout clears. It is imperative that you take care of yourself. No one else is going to do it for you. And I wish I was there and I could do it for you, but this is me begging you because I love you so much on this Valentine's Day. If you're facing burnout, what we're collectively facing is a crisis of lack of self-care. That's been coming for a long time. That's been exacerbated. There's been a lot that's been brought to the surface in the past year and a half. Very little, I think, is ever going to go back. Like normal's gone. What the new normal is, we don't know yet, but it ain't this. In between here and there, let's take care of ourselves, get through each day, and focus on tomorrow without putting pressure or additional promises, because you don't need any of that. You really don't. You're worthy, and you were long before you were coached and loved, and I hope you hear it from someone other than me, but I will tell you whenever you need to hear it. All right, we've got one good question tonight that I'm looking forward to breaking down. But I'm going to do, because we have one question and one statement. So I'm going to read the statement first and then come back to the question. So the statement is from Maintain. Hey, Coach MK, not a question, but more of an offer. So thanks to my success with the program, I've won yet another race down here in Durham. That's amazing, Dan. 6.5K in 47 minutes. It's amazing. With that, I have enough credits to allow me to register for free for 3 more races. If anybody who's in the Raleigh, Durham, Cary, or Apex area is interested in doing some races on a trail, I would like to offer up these free registrations. Can you maybe announce this and steer them my way? I'm already signed up for the next 4 races, and I don't need these registrations. Thanks again. So there you go. If you live in the Raleigh, Durham, Cary, or Apex, North Carolina area, please reach out to Dan Felton or reach out to me, and I will connect you with Dan Felton, and we'll get you those free race entries. Although I cannot imagine that a trail is going to be a whole lot of fun in the mud in March. But you know it is fun no matter what, no matter when? Dan Felton. So any chance to hang out with him is a chance worth taking. Do it just to meet Dan, if for no other reason. Okay, now here is the question. And this really resonated with me, and I spent a long time thinking about it this afternoon. So I'd like to thank whoever dropped it in there. Hey, Coach, this isn't really about the running, but it's been on my mind, and I'm hoping you can share your thoughts. 2020 happened just after I had my second child, and given that I use food as a coping mechanism for my quarantine stress, I weigh more than I'm comfortable with, and I don't feel good about the state of my body or how my clothes fit. I would like to lose weight, but when I read many of the articles you post, I feel like the desire to lose weight is somehow shameful. Can you comment? I can comment ad nauseum on it. So there's a lot to separate here. I don't like the term unpacking, because when I unpack things with my therapist, what I'm doing is I'm picking apart complicated feelings, like untangling necklaces in my jewelry box and trying to straighten them, identify each one and straighten them all out instead of handing like some one big mess over. And that's not what you've done here. You were quite clear. I have gained weight, and I think I would like to lose weight, but I'm afraid that that's the wrong thing. So the first necklace that I would pull out of the strand here is to say everyone copes a little differently. My quarantine coping was learning how to make jewelry. And by making jewelry, if you've been to my Instagram, you would have saw my attempt of the one time, this is why I don't bake, you guys. The one thing I tried to do was bake donuts for my kids, and I failed miserably. I stick to what I know and what's easy, and that's taking like 2 broken things and making them whole again. And I'm like, oh, that feels good, and they sparkle, and I like that. Baking, I don't do it good at all. And in that, I'm kind of fortunate, because if I could bake, the thing that I've heard over and over is, like, I'm going to make all the sourdough bread, but then we're home all day, so people then feel guilty for eating these things that they've made, and they feel guilty for gaining the weight. But the baking makes them feel good, and they like going through that process, so it's a real catch-22. So I tell you that to tell you this. I'm very lucky that my quarantine mechanism only cost money, but I can't say that that I didn't maybe indulge a little too much. So I tell you that to underscore the first thing. Whatever you did to cope, whatever you did to get by, if it wasn't self-harm, congratulations. That's probably the kindest thing you could do to your body. Just like I'm telling my husband, this is the kindest thing I could have possibly done to our bank account. And I also want to address, so the second thing I want to address is that you were very clear about the what and the why. And what you were concerned about it being the wrong answer is either you were afraid of my response, and that's what we've been taught and trained and conditioned to do. If you give the right answer, you pass. You give the wrong answer, you fail, and then everybody hates you, and then you're in trouble. And that's not the case. I mean it when I say I'm not here to tell you what to feel or how to deal. What I have to do continuously and conscientiously when races are in season, this is what I had to do before I started Fitness Protection, was have these long conversations with people, because they would come to me with goals, right? I want to run this marathon in this time, and I want to lose weight. It was never it was that boom bust cycle that they're directly asking me to participate in, and which is really hard to do, ethically and morally, because that boom bust cycle is unhealthy. It's really unhealthy. If you spend any time around addicts, and I have, one of the things that they are told is easily recognizable if you spent any time around people with eating disorders. And it's that the pursuit of one thing will happen at the expense of everything else. And that description of the addict's mentality of chasing the highs and dealing with the lows. And it sounds a whole lot like what anyone who's in a slightly larger body is told they have to do, because we attach a moral value to being overweight. And that's one of the reasons why I talk about fat phobia. And I talk about body positivity. If someone is telling you that you're lesser or that you're less than, or is trying to ascertain who you are based on looking at your body, fuck them. They're wrong. They're judging a book by its cover, and we all know that doesn't work. That's what fat phobia is. Fat phobia is you walk in, you feel a little, and I say, wow, she's a little overweight, that she must be lazy. She's not right for this job. That's fat phobia. Fat phobia is saying, we don't want to give this fat person the COVID vaccine. We want to, well, if they can go to the back of the line, let's get the healthy people first. When fat becomes coded language, that is what fat phobia is. And there's no clear line where that starts, but we are all, especially females, are hyper aware. I say especially females, but if you ask my husband, he would say, hey, I feel that too. I'm not sure when it starts. I don't know if it starts at 5 pounds overweight, or someone else perceives you as 5 pounds overweight, or 20 pounds overweight, or 50 pounds overweight. I don't know, but there's no solid answer. It's like a sliding scale of how the treatment changes. Now you're treated when you can no longer find your size in a store, where you can no longer sit in a booth in a restaurant, let alone an airplane seat. But that's not what we're talking about here. These are all judgments that none of us want to have to deal with, because society told us that if you don't fit in that seat, then why would you want to be on the plane? There's something really ugly about that, but that's separate from what you're asking me about. So when I talk about fat phobia, what I'm doing as a coach is I'm calling out your why. If you tell me I want to lose weight, I'm going to say why. A lot of people have this perception: my spouse will be nicer, people will like me again. I will, and to that I would respond, maybe we need to start pushing back against some of these buttheads in your life, rather than trying to change your body in order to avoid abuse. But that, again, is not what you're asking here. You said to me, I had a baby. This was a hard year, and I want to reclaim my body after a very specific situation that preceded the lockdown. I had a baby too. My fourth one just turned 3, and I still don't fit in my pre-pregnancy clothes. And after the quarantine, I am definitely further away than I was. And I'm the least fit that I've been in a very long time. And I know that feeling of having just had a baby, of wanting to feel recovered, of wanting to feel like it's my body. I'm no longer a gestational carrier or a vessel for their body. It is my body, and I want to do what I want to do without thinking about them. And if you're still breastfeeding, you might not be 100% there yet. But if you can sit down and have a glass of wine whenever you want, and theoretically, if you have the childcare, you say, I want to go for a run, I'm going to do that right now. Good for you. Awesome. Then you are much further ahead than I was, and having your body back 2 years postpartum. What you're asking for isn't what you're saying, I want to lose some weight, isn't the wrong answer. But I will tell you that coming here to lose weight and coming here to race can be tied to the same issue, that numbers are easy to manipulate, and they are hard to achieve. The things we do in pursuit of sports performance all too frequently come at the expense of our health. Consequently, the things that we do in pursuit of weight loss all too frequently come at the expense of our health. So I don't think wanting to feel at home in your body again, wanting to feel strong in your body again, wanting this thing called running to feel easy-ish again, normal. All of that I would say is normal. Running still feels like work for me right now, and I hate it. I really want to feel the way it used to feel when I felt like I was sailing, but that's going to be a function of fitness and strength, both of which I'm working on. Not as hard as I could have been this week, but it's really cold and I don't care. So rather than beating myself up for how I got here, I know how I got here. And it's not because I'm deficient in any way. And I would argue that where you are right now, it's the exact same thing. So if you are, all I would ask is that if you are judging yourself or being hard on yourself, don't. That's fat phobia. That's what you've been taught to think, to be ashamed and to set really big goals and go get them, which is what can make either pursuing a race or pursuing weight loss really dangerous, because you're going to set a really aggressive goal. Boom, bust. I'm going to cut out 2 food groups. I'm going to stop cooking them too. I'm going to be raw, vegan, specialized. And that's the sort of pattern I want to avoid. And vegans, for the record, want you to avoid that too. They would love for you to join them, but they would like for you to have some conversations with people first about making sure you do it carefully and correctly. I had to work for a very long time with a nutritionist, 18 months, to be confident that I was still meeting my nutritional needs. When I found out I had celiac. Celiac's hard. That's just one half of food group though. So if you're all I would ask, if you want to lose weight, that's fine. If you want to get stronger, that's fine. That's why we're here. It is completely unreasonable to ask a body to stay the same throughout time. It's completely unreasonable to shame a person for wanting to make changes to their body in one way or another. All I ask is that you have a healthy mindset and a reasonable mindset while you do it. For example, if you're trying to lose weight, you have an idea of the things that you need to do in order to lose the weight. Make a list of those things, discuss them with me. Let's make time for them in the calendar, and then put the scale away. I know, right? We need to take away or limit your ability to obsess over the number on the scale while we make the changes necessary that will make the number on the scale be a byproduct of you reclaiming your life, and you reclaiming self-care, and you reclaiming time for yourself in the form of exercise, in the form of maybe planning your meals, or just having an idea of what you need to eat and making sure it's in the house with minimum amount of cooking. Because you know what? Vegetables take a whole lot of time to cook. That's why I keep them frozen in my freezer and canned, because I love canned green beans, man. But I'm lucky like that. I grew up poor. So all of that feels like a long answer. But I really want you to understand there is no wrong answer. We're here, Fitness Protection, to maintain our health for life, not to maintain a constant body size, shape, and weight for life. We're simply trying to make it through this marathon of life together, making the healthiest choices possible and loving our body instead of being ashamed of it or apologizing for our bodies and explaining our choices, which no one should ever ask you to do. Your body tells me nothing about you. The fact that you're here asking these questions, it does. Health is possible at every size. You are perfect at every size. You are worthy of love and self-care and sleep at every size. And I don't know that there's ever a wrong size to want to lose weight. That's not for me to say. It's not for me because I would be judging it. I'm not a specialist. All I can talk about are what healthy mindsets, perspectives, and expectations look like. And if you want to talk sub, one of my favorite, ask anyone in Slow Burn if you see this and you want to comment, because I'm not sure which group this person is in, but in all 3 of the groups watching this right now, if you, where's my waist? I will give you the access to the Where's My Waist playlist for free if you'd like it. Let's start there. It's a minute each day. I haven't released this outside of Slow Burn yet. This is one of the add-on products that they're testing for me. A subscription that I had been toying with adding next year, saying, you know, I really want like the special life for an extra $1 a month. Here's a core series for an extra $2 a month. Here's a BOSU series, something along those lines, without pushing it into the main product where people feel like they're left behind, but you can opt into specialized things year round. But again, keeping it small, digestible, and simple. If I can make one change with you, I'd tell you to go get a squishy ball, reach out to me. I will give you access to Where's My Waist, and we'll start working on that together. It's a minute a day to start your transverse abdominis and your lats to start talking to each other again. And when that happens, because they stop doing that when you get pregnant, it all kind of separates. But once that happens and we get your glutes firing again, it's amazing how much easier running feels. It's amazing how well you feel when you feel supported in here, as opposed to, oh man, internal organs are going to fall out my belly button, which is what I felt like after each pregnancy. So I think if we pull that back together, you'll start to feel an immediate difference, and then everything else will just kind of fall into place. Because when things feel good, you're going to want to do more of them, and you won't have to be pushed or prodded or feel bad about yourself while you do it. So if we start there and start small and get really consistent with it, I think you'll see it makes a difference. Because my pants are already fitting more loosely now, and I haven't changed anything about what I do other than, the slow burn strength. I'm doing that. But it all started for me with Where's My Waist? Okay. And the reason I say that too, it's not to try to whittle it down, but to find anything underneath it. Because after I had babies, it was like I could push, and I felt like Gumby, like I could push my hand like through one side, go all the way to the next, like there was nothing in there, because there was no muscles holding it up. I'm like, where is my waist? It's like, I just felt like a blob. So what we try to do with Where's My Waist is re-engage those muscles. That's it. It's not about like shaping or forcing. It's just like, hey, we're going to activate, engage, recruit, and pull these muscles back together, because the core is like the rug that holds the room together. Now with that, hopefully that answered your question. There are no wrong answers. There are no stupid questions. There's only love and compassion here, not just on Valentine's Day, a made up holiday, because I don't need a holiday to tell y'all how much I love you, how much I appreciate you, how I love that you are here, how much I love being your coach, even if I haven't felt like super duper crazy inspired to like churn out tons of content recently. And I didn't want to waste our amazing podcast editor, Chrissy's time on things that weren't spectacular. But we might be getting back in the rhythm of some fun stuff really, really soon. But again, it has nothing to do with you, has nothing to do with me. It just has to do with the burnout, what we've been dealing with for a while. So take advantage of it. Go running when you want to, don't when you don't. Walk when you want to, don't when you don't. Reach out and ask if any of the programs that I just talked about sound good to you. And let's see if you want to do a little bit more, what that little bit more could be. Because this one move, I promise, and I'll end on this, the Where's My Waist series is terrible, but it's only a minute a day. And it's a minute a day that makes a great big difference. So find your minute, embrace that minute, and don't worry about too much when it comes to more, because when it comes to dieting and performance, more doesn't get you more better. It gets you less healthy. So let's get you more better, more healthy, more happy, and not less, because that's what you deserve. You're coached. You're loved. Happy Valentine's Day. I got to go back and finish Game of Thrones. We got like 2 episodes left in this final season. And I'm like, how do we not thank God we didn't try to watch this in real time years ago? Whew, that would have been terrible. How did people wait a week for another TV show? There's a really great one on Showtime with Bryan Cranston that just started. I think it's called, I want to say Hey Judge, and I know that's not right. The Judge, it's got some really simple, innocuous name. We watched one episode and loved it and said, I don't want to see anything else until they're like, 7 episodes, and we can just sit there and binge it, because I can't wait a week for a lot of this stuff. But if you've seen anything good, feel free to share it. My favorite podcast at the moment is You're Wrong About. And it's two writers that go back and look through history at things, at the way stories were told, and says, maybe we weren't really fair to the subject matter. So you're wrong about Exxon Valdez. You're wrong about Marie Antoinette. You're wrong about Britney Spears. You're wrong about Monica Lewinsky and Anita Hill. I mean, not all of it's political, but it's really, really, it's fun. And I like listening to them talk. So if you need something to listen to while you're running or not running or just hanging out, You're Wrong About's a great place to be. If you have not yet seen Game of Thrones, let me know. Let me say, I managed to miss that boat too and was quite proud of it. I was like, I'm the last person in my social circle to see Game of Thrones. And I'm like, oh, this shit's good. And I'm thinking of starting The Walking Dead next. I don't know. I'm not totally immune to violence and blood now, but I'm kind of like, I'm in more of a place where I think I can handle it. But you tell me, if you've seen The Walking Dead and you swear by it, let me know. What should we watch next? I've already watched Ted Lasso 4 times all the way through, and I love that show. When is season 2 coming out? Oh my God. I don't know. Another thing I watched that I don't recommend is called A Teacher. Whew, that was hard to watch, but I couldn't stop because Kate Mara is really good. There's that. So that's all I have to say for now. I'm going to go watch Game of Thrones. Cersei Lannister. If there's one in your life, the problem ain't you. Congratulations on surviving the reign of Cersei Lannister. Man, that woman is terrible. Oh, you're coached. You are loved. Let's get through this week. Hopefully it's above 0 wherever you are.